Hello, everyone. Welcome. We will get started in a few minutes. We're just going to give some few minutes for more people to join before we begin today's meeting. So we'll get started in about a minute. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're welcome to our December all-stakeholder meeting for the Summer EBT program known as SumBucks. My name is Paula Martinez, and I'm one of the analysts assisting with the SumBucks implementation. I'll hand it over to Valerie, who will start with a few housekeeping slides to familiarize you with the meeting controls. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, my name is Valerie. I'm one of the analysts working on the SumBucks program. As you may have noted, this is a Zoom webinar. This webinar will be listen-in only mode. The meeting invitation also provides the option to connect to audio via phone or computer, depending on your preference. This webinar will be recorded. As soon as the recording becomes available, you may follow the YouTube link on the SumBucks webpage or go to CDSS YouTube website to access the video recording. Next slide, please. While this webinar is listen-in only mode, we're providing you with the way to ask questions. You can ask about the program and today's content by using the Q&A section. To do so, select the Q&A button located on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You're welcome to submit a question at any time during the webinar, and they will be collected and answered at the end of the webinar during our Q&A period. Next slide, please. We're also offering the chat feature in addition to Q&A. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Share your name, location, and organization if applicable. Note that when using this feature, you have the option to select everyone, which is the default, or to select a specific participant to send your chat to. If you're having any logistical issues, you can use the chat function to ask for support from one of our co-hosts, Osmar Mesa, who is handling logistics today. To do so, go to Meeting Controls, select Osmar Mesa in the dropdown, type in your logistic question, and hit enter. Osmar will then respond and provide you with an answer to your question. The chat feature is to be used for logistical questions only. All program questions should be asked in the Q&A section so we can better keep track of, respond to, and document the questions. Next slide, please. In today's meeting, we will provide a brief background and an overview of SUMBUCS to ensure that everyone is on the same page. We will also share 2024 highlights, including outcomes, outreach efforts, disaster response, and customer service. We will also discuss 2025 program planning, including important information to remember for the year ahead, and providing an update of the interim plan for operations and management. And the plan for operations and management known as IPOM. And as always, we will go over our next meeting and we'll provide some time for questions and answers. And with that being said, I'll hand it over to Karen to get started. Next slide, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Mendieta, and I'm a manager in the SUMBUCS team. First, we'll do a quick overview of the SUMBUCS program. Next slide, please. Before we get into specifics, we want to define terminology that will be important to know to understand upcoming slides. One of the requirements for the SUMBUCS eligibility is that a child attend a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program, also known as NSLP, or the School Breakfast Program, also known as S-EBT. The NSLP and S-EBT are federal programs available to qualifying schools that serve meals to students. It is overseen by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and administered by the California Department of Education. These programs are federal and state reimbursement programs for healthy, quality meals served, and they meet federal requirements. Schools that operate NSLP and S-EBT are required to offer free or reduced price meals to eligible children. Another term we may refer to throughout this presentation is the summer operational period. For California, the summer operational period is June 1st through August 31st. The Department of Education reviewed available school calendars and found that over 90% of California schools are on break during this time. In California, the compulsory age to attend school for children is ages 6 through 18. So when we say school age, we are referring to children between the ages of 6 and 18. Lastly, you will hear CEP or Provision 2 schools. CEP stands for Community Eligibility Provision School. CEP or Provision 2 schools allow the nation's highest poverty school districts and schools and districts to serve breakfast and lunch at no cost at all to all enrolled students without collecting household applications. Next slide, please. The SUMBUCS ABCs of eligibility are presented here. Groups B and C in teal colors on the right are those automatically enrolled due to streamlined certification. These include children receiving CalFresh, CalWORKS, Medi-Cal under 185% of the federal poverty level, or who are certified for free or reduced price meals through direct certification, categorical eligibility, or NSLP S-EBT application. A much smaller group of children is Group A, who are not streamlined certified, those in the banana color on the left. These children need to apply by submitting a school meal application to their school by August 31st of each year and be determined eligible to receive SUMBUCS. In the following slide, we will go over the income requirements for reduced price meals. Next slide, please. Thank you. To be eligible for reduced price meals and therefore SUMBUCS, children must be a part of a household in which the income is confirmed to be at or under 185% of the federal poverty level. The table on the slide reflects the income threshold for eligibility to reduced price meals in the school nutrition programs. For children in a household to be determined eligible for Sunbucks, the household must not exceed the income limits displayed on the table. And please do note that the income guidelines for free school meals have a lower income threshold, but to be eligible for Sunbucks, eligibility for reduced price meals is sufficient. To determine income eligibility, the parent or guardian must submit a school meal application at their school site. Next slide, please. It is important to note that children who get supplemental security income or state supplemental payment, also known as SSI, SSP, or the Adoption Assistance Program, can also get Medi-Cal, but may not be certified at or under the 185% federal poverty level and will need to submit a school meal application at the child's school. For 2025 eligibility, families may submit a school meals application to their schools by August 31st of each year. Next slide, please. California's Universal School Meal Program, UMP, provides free school meals to every child, regardless of whether they are eligible for free or reduced price meals as defined by the federal government. It is important to not equate receiving school meals, the free school meals eligibility for Sunbucks. UMP participants do not automatically get Sunbucks and may need to submit a school meal application with their child's school by August 31st of each year to be eligible for Sunbucks. Next slide, please. Sunbucks benefits are provided on an electronic benefit transfer card, or EBT card. They are issued in a lump sum of $120. That's $40 per month for each month in the summer operational period. One card is issued per eligible child for the entirety of the summer. The Code of Federal Regulations requires that benefits be expunged, otherwise removed, 122 days from when benefits are loaded onto the card. Benefits cannot be reloaded to cards once they have been removed. Since Sunbucks benefits expire 122 days after being issued onto the card, families who also receive CalFresh should prioritize using their Sunbucks cards first. We'd also like to note that the expungement date is not noted on the card or any of the accompanying documents. Customers may contact the Sunbucks helpline if they would like to know their expungement date. And also for enhanced security, we do encourage cardholders to download the free EBT mobile app to create a PIN and learn how to protect their benefits. This tool provides Sunbucks cardholders with enhanced card security features that includes the ability to freeze or unfreeze the card, change their PIN, and check their balance. And more info can be found at www.ebt.ca.gov. And now I'll hand it over to Osmar. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Karen. Hello, everyone. My name is Osmar Meza, and I am an analyst in the Sunbucks team. Now let's transition to our current Sunbucks program outcomes and highlights of 2024. Next slide, please. Here's a preliminary look at our Sunbucks outcomes from summer 2024, using our most recent data as of December 9th of 2024. In total, families have pinned 4,163,549 cards. The value of the benefits on those cards is $499,625,880, very nearly $500 million. Of those benefits, families have spent $482,113,389 with 34 cents, which is approximately 96.5% of the value of the pinned cards. What this tells us is that once families get those cards and are able to activate them, they are spending almost all of those benefits, which really highlights the importance of this program and the need that is out there in the community. We also have a bar chart here that looks at the total number of cards that we've mailed out. We have the same 4.1 million cards with pins selected, and we also have 330,442 cards that were undeliverable, plus 946,673 cards that were neither returned as undeliverable nor pinned. We continue to issue more benefits with our most recent mailing on December 10th, so we anticipate that some of those additional mailed cards will move over into the pinned column as time goes on. It's worth noting that some of those 946,673 cards may have gone to the wrong address due to bad data or to families moving, some of whom may have called into the call center to get a replacement card. Moreover, some cards may have gone to families that simply chose not to participate in the program. Now, a quick update on our operations and report. Next slide, please. As we complete Sunbucks issuances for summer of 2024, we will release a preliminary report that will detail the actions taken and outcomes achieved during the first year of the Sunbucks program. We've received stakeholder interest in obtaining card issuance data by county, and we're happy to announce the data will be available in the report. We anticipate the report will be available to distribute in spring of 2025. Now I'll hand it over to Bernardo to go over our outreach efforts. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Osmar. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bernardo, and I'm an analyst in the Sunbucks team. We've used the various methods of outreach and education to inform families on the Sunbucks program, including these all-stakeholder meetings, which are posted to the CDSS YouTube channel. We'll share a link to the YouTube channel in a moment, and we'll share that in the chat. Next slide, please. We're happy to announce the revised Sunbucks general flyer on the left side of the screen and revised Sunbucks September newsletter on the right side of the screen are now available in the following top threshold languages via the CDSS Sunbucks Partners page. These publications and the CDSS Sunbucks website were revised to remove language indicating that students in foster care need to apply to determine Sunbucks eligibility. These publications were translated in the top threshold languages, and they are Arabic, Armenian, Cambodian, Chinese, Farsi or Dari, French, Hindi, Hmong, Korean, Lao, Portuguese, Punjabi, Romanian, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, Thai, and Vietnamese. We'll share a link to the partners page in the chat for ease of reference. Now let's talk about our Sunbucks automated messaging campaigns. Next slide, please. Automated messaging consists of emails, text messages, and phone calls that are sent to families whose children are eligible for Sunbucks. Automated messaging has become a great way to notify Sunbucks benefit recipients of important information regarding their benefits. In this slide, we present our current automated messaging campaign timeline. To recap, for stage 1, automated messaging started in May 2024 and ended August 2024. This messaging was for families whose children were directly certified as Sunbucks eligible. For stage 2, automated messaging started on September 3rd and will continue until January 2025. This messaging is for families who were not captured in stage 1 and are now enrolled. For benefit expungement, Automated messaging started on August 16th and will continue until May 2025. This message is to announce the child has more than $0 on their Sunbucks card and to be sure to use Sunbucks before they expire or federally known as expunged. And finally, disaster response automated messaging is sent to notify families to contact the Sunbucks helpline to report food loss that was purchased with Sunbucks due to a recent disaster. We'll cover the disaster messaging in a few slides, and for more information, please visit our Sunbucks website. I'll hand it over to Giselle to go over disaster response. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Bernardo. Good afternoon. My name is Giselle, and I am an analyst in the Sunbucks program. We will now look at Sunbucks disaster response. Next slide, please. Latest timely reporting extensions. The timely reporting extension, TRE, provides additional time for impacted Sunbucks households to report their food loss due to recent wildfires and power outages. The standard 10-day time frame to report an incident of Sunbucks food loss is extended to 30 days. The table displayed on the slide shows that we have one active TRE for Trinity and Shasta counties for power outages, and one past TRE for Ventura County. Households in the impacted zip codes that were affected by recent wildfires and power outages can make a request for the replacement of Sunbucks benefits by calling 877-328-9677. Approved requests will have benefits reissued within 40 days. Next slide, please. Automated messaging for disaster response. Sunbucks sends out automated messages to households regarding benefit replacements when a timely reporting extension, TRE, is approved for a county. Emails and text messages are sent out in English and Spanish to families living in the specific zip codes and counties affected by the current disasters. For Trinity and Shasta counties, messages were sent out on December 10th with more information about the TRE. In addition, more detailed information about disaster response is available on the Sunbucks website. Next slide, please. Now, we will transition to customer service. Customer service is a huge piece to the success of the program. The helpline phone number is provided on this slide and can also be found in the card mailer, on the back of the Sunbucks cards, and on our website. The call center helps families with PIN setup, card replacements, provide expungement dates, address changes, both general and complex eligibility questions, and field escalations to CDSS and CDE as necessary. Escalations could include requests for benefit replacements due to household misfortunes and eligibility disputes. Next slide, please. Now, we'd like to share some data on the calls received in the past 2 months since our last meeting. The first table shows the total number of calls received in October, broken down by language, for a total of 81,024 calls. The second table shows the calls received for November, also broken down by language, for a total of 51,735 calls. The last table shows calls received from December 1st through December 9th for a total of 21,986 calls. Overall, we continue to see a steady decrease in total calls per month when compared to the highest call month of July. In July, the total calls were 189,569 calls. Call volume is decreasing likely to fewer cards issuances during this time when compared to the first stage of card issuances during the summer. For October and November 2024, the largest number of calls were regarding eligibility questions, card reissuance due to address change, benefit questions, lost or stolen cards, and benefit expungement. Next slide, please. Duplicate card issuances. The SUMBUCS team has been made aware that there are some instances in which families are receiving more than one SUMBUCS card for the same child. As a reminder, each eligible child is entitled to only one issuance of $120 for the summer period. If a child receives more than one issuance, the family must notify the SUMBUCS helpline immediately by calling 877-328-9677 and must destroy the extra card received. Now, I'll hand things over to Adriana. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Giselle. My name is Adriana Lechuga, and I am a manager in the SUMBUCS team. And now let's transition over to our 2025 program planning. Next slide, please. We want to highlight some key points that will carry over from 2024 to 2025. The first of which is streamlined eligibility. As shown in an earlier slide, streamlined eligibility exists for children who are 6 to 18 years old and receiving CalFresh, CalWORKS, or Medi-Cal at or below 185% of the federal poverty level, and children who are 0 to 22 years old and attending a school that operates the National School Lunch and our school breakfast programs, and are certified for free or reduced price meals. In 2024, approximately 77% of eligible children qualified for streamlined benefits. And to ensure families receive their SUMBUCS EBT cards, it is crucial to keep addresses up to date with both schools and county welfare departments, as SUMBUCS EBT cards for these streamlined eligible children are mailed to the address at their school and or the county welfare department if applicable. Additionally, we'd like to remind everyone that getting SUMBUCS does not impact immigration status. And as always, please visit the SUMBUCS webpage for the most up-to-date information. Next slide, please. Now we'd like to share that our IPOM, also known as the Interim Plan for Operations and Management, was approved on October 31st. As a reminder, the IPOM is a preliminary document that notifies the USDA of California's intention to operate SUMBUCS in 2025 and provides estimated benefit issuance numbers, administrative budget estimates, and a narrative explanation of those costs. This request did not include any program waivers. Next slide, please. Now, let's look ahead at summer 2025. The SUMBUCS team is planning for an even more successful operational year in 2025 by working towards solutions to issue benefits quicker, focusing on increasing access to the program, and exploring data sources to expand automatic eligibility. And with that end in mind, we are actively working on the Plan for Management and Operations, also known as the POM. The POM is a detailed plan that states territories and tribal organizations must submit to FNS to operate the SUMBUCS program. It outlines how they will identify, enroll, and issue benefits to eligible children, along with detailing other program operational plans and submitting waiver requests. We are currently working on finalizing the 2025 POM and hope to get it submitted to FNS as early as possible. Now, some of the waivers we are requesting for 2025 are to begin issuing cards earlier than 7 to 15 days before the start of the summer operational period, allowing as many streamlined eligible cards as possible to reach the hands of families during the summer months. In addition, we will be requesting an extended issuance period to continue issuing cards monthly through January 2026 to provide ample time for application and data processing. We are actively engaged with the USDA regarding these waivers to ensure a seamless approval process. We are also working with our card vendor and data teams to streamline our data processes to provide efficient and consistent program access for all. We'll have more information to share as our program plans continue to develop. And now I'll hand it back to Paula. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Adriana. Now let's review the Q&A section together. But first, a quick reminder that this webinar was recorded. A link to all presentation materials will be published on the website once available. Please note these require time and patience for ADA accessibility and translation. You can find recordings from our prior stakeholder webinars on the Sunbucks playlist as part of the CDSS YouTube channel. You can see the link to the page on the slide. Now we'd like to hear from you. What questions do you have? You can ask your questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and we will respond verbally and in writing. I'll go over the questions that have already been asked and answered throughout the webinar. So I'll review the questions that have already been asked. The first one is there any way that counties can assist with pinning these EBT cards for the next issuance? The response to that question is, we will take your suggestion forward to our county partners for consideration. The following question, can CWDs or county welfare departments receive a list of Sunbucks that have been expunged? The response to that question is, we do not have a list to provide, but can be something we look at for future iterations. The following question is this data for PIN cards available by county? The response to that question is, we are preparing a finals outcome report that will be released in spring 2025 and will provide a breakdown by county. Following question is, why were some cards marked undeliverable? The response is, undeliverable cards are cards that were returned back to us. Next question is, great to hear December 10 was the most recent card issuance. How many more issuances are expected? The answer to that question is, we have 2 remaining mailing dates, tentatively for the end of December and end of January. Next question is, will marketing materials be revised? For example, flyers that indicate that Sunbucks is a summer program? The response for that question is, we are reviewing our current flyers for 2025 operations. We can take back your suggestion to review the flyers for relevant language updates. Next question we received is, we received quite a few cards at our school district office. None of the students are experiencing homelessness. Will we receive those students' cards at the district office again next year? Why were they not sent directly to the families? The response to that question is, if cards were received at the district's office, it is because the student did not have an associated address in CalPADS at the time that the data was pulled for benefit issuance. To avoid this in the future, please ensure that all students' addresses are up to date in CalPads before the scheduled data pools. The California Department of Education will communicate the data pool dates in the future. Those are all the questions posed during the webinar. I'll give a minute to see if there's any additional questions that anyone would like to add to the Q&A. In the meantime, we can move on to the next slide. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, February 18th from 2 to 3 p.m. Be on the lookout for an invite to the next meeting. We will be conducting bi-monthly meetings and resume monthly meetings once we are closer to the summer 2025 operational period. Meanwhile, feel free to email your questions to sunbucks@dss.ca.gov. Also remember that all meeting materials will be sent out to everyone on the email distribution list once they become available. I see we have another question. Oh, it's already answered. Okay. The question is, I think I missed the dormant/expungement part. Can people request these cards to be reactivated? And the answer to that is expunged benefits cannot be reactivated. There's one more question. So we'll give some time for that question to be answered before we close out our meeting. Okay, question that was posed is, as partners, what is important that we should communicate to families? Keep mailing addresses updated, used before it's expunged? The answer to that question is keeping your mailing addresses updated with your county or school and providing good contact info, including phone and email if available. Use Sunbucks benefits before CalFresh to avoid expungement. The next question is, what is the process if an LEA shows that the student as eligible, but they did not receive a card? What is the process if an LEA shows a student as eligible, but they do not receive a card? The answer to that question is, please send this question to summerebt@cde.ca.gov for further assistance. Thank you. Next question is there a potential for expunged cards to be reactivated in the future? The answer to that question is we are exploring the possible waiver for 2025 to reset expungement dates for cards that were not delivered or received by the family. Thank you so much for those questions. We can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Thank you all for your participation in today's webinar, and we look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.